All right, hello and welcome to Swing It and Ding It, an iHeartMedia podcast. This is Moose along with Mays and Matthews, or Matthews and Mays, as Harry has just said. And we are joined by former European Tour player, Latin Tour player, Corn Ferry Tour player, now PGA Tour player, Tano Goya. Welcome to Swing It and
Hi.
Ding It.
Well done. Pretty good effort there.
Yeah, thank you. A lot of sleepless hours last night trying to perfect that, but we got it right. And
You got it.
obviously we want to get into many different things, but I think we really should start with the feeling of getting your PGA Tour card, right? I mentioned briefly your history and where you played, but can you describe to us mere mortals what
Hmm.
that felt like the second you got that card and just realizing the years of hard work that went into getting to that point?
Yeah, it's I never well, it was always my dream to be in the PGA Tour. So in the way there I played many places. I played obviously as you said in Europe, Challenge Tour, European Tour back in the day, now it's DP. Played in Asia through, Europe, but also played the Sunshine Tour. I played in South America, and then I played Conferry. I played many places, many tours, but yeah, I finally got it. And funny enough, I thought it was going to be very emotional. I'm a very emotional person when I achieve my work goals, and then I think about all the hard work, as you said, and all the people involved behind it, because I'm a very family person, and they've been with me, always supporting me, and I have a very solid group of people around me that it's more than family, and it's not only all the work that I've done, but all the work that they've done, all the sacrifices they go through to help me achieve. And it's also that they helped me achieve my dream, but um, and that was great. I mean, I lived it very in a positive way. I was very calm when I hit the last putt. I remember being like 3-footer, and I didn't even think I was gonna miss it. I just stood there, and I just took, didn't even take much time. I was like, I'm prepared for this, and I took the putt and I made it, and it was great. I mean, for a second I was very euphoric, but all of a sudden I'm like, damn, I made it, and I'm gonna enjoy every minute of it. So that celebration there, that card celebration we did there on the 18th green of Victoria, and everything after that was amazing. It was a little bit overwhelming because we didn't have much time between getting, in my case, getting my card and playing the first event. In Napa, I had like 5 days off, and then had to fly, do the PGA Tour. I don't know. It's like a weekend where they tell you all about the tour, and they go through like I don't know how it is, like a workshop or something. But it's yeah. Other than that, it was awesome, But yeah, I didn't have much time to sink in before I was standing in the first tee in Napa and playing. So
Yeah, we know another guy that had a similar situation.
yeah, I think we do. Huh? Danny was going through that like pretty much as same as Brandon, right?
Oh
She
yeah.
was all the way there. Remember her being a lot of tournaments and going through that. So I think she knows very well what we're talking about.
Just a little idea, absolutely. But Tano, like you were just saying, I met you. We were talking about it last week. Latin. I don't know how many years ago. Moose just asked you kind of about your journey and getting your card. Talk a little bit about your approach. You kind of said that you're just trying to have fun while you're out there. Talk about the tour. Talk about how it is as a rookie, and kind of just let the audience know what it's been like the rookie season compared to maybe the other tours, or just being out
Yeah,
there as a rookie.
right. Yeah. So yeah, for me, it's different this time because when I was a rookie in Europe, I was 19, 20 years old. So I was living a totally different part of my life, and I was much more immature. Although, I got there very well prepared. I took 2 years where I didn't go to college, but I took 2 years where all I do was like prepare to be like a professional golfer. I had a trainer. I was working with a mental coach. I was putting a lot of hours. I was representing my country, playing tournaments abroad. The last summer I played the summer of in America. I played US Amateur, Public Links. I played a lot of tournaments. So I felt like I was really prepared for it. When I got my tour card in Europe, I was like, I did well right away. I took a really good results right away. And I think that was great. But at the same time, I didn't feel like a rookie right away. I felt like, I was belonging and I was playing Europe and that was it. But then, through the years after that, it was tough for me because I was there. I moved to Europe. I was alone. I was 22 years old, 21 years old. And I think it just, for once, I learned a lot through that period. I'm a person who likes to, do things when I don't feel comfortable and, make changes in my life. And I don't wait too much because for me, it's like life is too short to be waiting. And so I make decisions, and in those decisions, maybe I, go out of the path. And I think when I came back to Argentina, I got out of Europe and I got a different path just to get to know myself better. It was, for me, golf and life was pretty much the same thing, and I think that was a problem. When you start like defining yourself by your results in the golf course, or how other people see you or how you play, it's like, well, you're completely in the wrong path, because as you know, golf is a very difficult sport. Our career, it's although it's awesome when you are doing well and all the things that you can achieve by playing good golf, is the sacrifice and all the everything that is behind it is actually not very pretty, and it's very, very hard, especially for the human mind, because one day you can perform so well and the next day it's like maybe the worst day of your life in the golf course, and you're like, what happened? I just played my best golf yesterday and today I feel like I suck. I can't play the sport. So in that way, it's I feel like when I went back to Argentina, I started working on that, getting to know myself better and trying to be more myself out here when I play. Not only when I play, but how I take it when I'm not playing well, or how I'm enjoying being on tour, And for me, this year was great. It was a lot of, I think I grew a lot in my game. I think I just realized how obviously these guys were prepared, but it's not more about my swing or my golf. It's more about learning to play the golf courses in a different way, about the tactics, about my strategy, using my strongest part of my game, and maybe don't stress too much. I used to do a lot when I was in the tournaments. Now I do less. I prepare better when I'm the weeks off, but when in the tournaments, I just focus on do my prep, but not too worry about my swing or how I'm hitting it, because I know that if I don't think too much about my swing and stuff like that, I just start to flow and start play better. It's just more about, for me, what I want to do, every single day, have a game plan. And so far, I mean, this year it was all about that, just my game was stronger in terms of like, now that I know how to play with my strength, and now I know myself better playing. And these courses, some of them, you need to really, really be aware of, the tactics, how to play the golf course. In Confrarie was a little bit more about, try to hit it as far as you can, and then, you can be more aggressive even from the rough, or if you miss in the wrong places. But the PGA Tour is much more unforgiving in that part, and that was great for me also.
Well, Tano,
and I think you hit it on the head when you said you play great golf one tournament and the next it's like, what the heck? That kind of resonates with our audience, but maybe so just hole by hole. But sorry about that. Go ahead, Har.
Well, yeah, Tano, tell us about golf in your home country, and how popular is it, and how did you get introduced to the game?
So I got introduced by my dad. Back in the day, obviously, he didn't turn pro. It wasn't very like turning pro wasn't the thing, it was more like an amateur event, and then pros were, guys that in Argentina was more of the people that were, caddies and guys that didn't have much of a chance to play golf if it wasn't for, trying to make some bucks playing golf. So My dad played a lot. He was always a really good golfer. I think he got 2+1. So, and I share that love for the game with him. I grew up next to a golf course, so for me it was easy to just cross the fence and then just go out there and play. And then I think it became really, really the popular sport, more so than ever when Cabrera started winning the majors. When he won the Masters and the US Open. I think that's when it was a big boom in golf as well. I think it's for us having two majors in a couple of years was unbelievable for Argentina.
Yeah.
It's obviously when Di Vincenzo, that was a long time ago, and I think the channels to be able to live that and to go through that wasn't there. It was back in a long time ago, so the news didn't travel very very fast. And although Argentina had like a Open winner, I don't think it was much of a factor to influence the golf in our country. But now with Cabrera and Emiliano Grillo and all these guys that have been doing really well, Andres Romero, they've been doing really really well, and then it's been seen all over the world. And for us, I think it grew a lot. They're building a lot of golf courses now in Argentina, but you can compare golf, with, as you call it, soccer, because for us, football, as we call it, is by far the most amazing and popular sport. So you're never gonna be able to compete with golf and soccer, but it's growing, and it's tough because of the economy in the country. So sometimes that makes it tough for people to play golf. But other than that, I think it's a lot of people that love watching and follow golf, so it's great.
Tremendous. Now you're living in the Florida area. Will you be heading down to Miami to see Messi play for Inter Miami?
Yeah, I think so. Eventually I'll do it. It's great to see Messi. I mean, and as you can see in the first two matches, like he's just like a kid in the canister. It's like having fun, laughing and having a great time with the guys. And I think this is gonna. And I think it's a tactic, but it's going to help the MLS in big time. Now a lot of guys are coming also from Barcelona. I think Iniesta is coming and some other guys. So it's going to become a really, really big team, I think, Inter. And eventually it's going to make the other teams become better. So I think it's a tactic building up to the World Cup in 4 years' time, I think. And it's going to be awesome to watch. And being able to be in the country that they're playing the World Cup, I think is going to be my first World Cup to watch live.
Wow.
So it's going to be great.
So Tano, last week we were in Lake Tahoe, and just before you jumped on, I was telling the guys that the entire week, both Faco, your caddy, and myself kept saying we wanted to see a bear. One of the two of us ended up seeing a bear. Tell us a little bit about that story.
That was crazy. I remember being there on the phone, and he's telling me about this bear in his house, and I'm like, "Are you tripping or something?" And I thought he was joking, right? For some reason, he was in the house alone in the lower part of the house, and there was a bear in the kitchen. I don't know how he got in, but he didn't even know. He was alone in the house, and the guys all of a sudden start like messaging him saying like, "Look, there's a bear in the house. Don't panic. But we're trying to see how and so, For luckily he had a door. I think it's the garage door, and he could exit. And then he had to call the Rangers, and there were like 2 hours where they were panicking, and the bear was there breaking everything, trying to find food.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's people love watching the wildlife and everything, but I think it's really scary because these guys don't think about people like friendly. They just want to kill you, and
Yeah.
and that was like, I'm very respectful of that. So I would love to see a bear from far away, but when the guy's saying like they have a bear inside the house, I'm like, wow. I mean, and he broke everything. He scratched all the fridge door and like everything. He was looking for food and he couldn't find anything. So
Tano,
Yeah.
just so you know, in America, if a bear goes into your house, as a man, you're obligated to wrestle that bear. You just
Nobody
have.
told me that.
Yeah, sorry. They should have. When
I'll-
you got your tour card in your materials, that should have been in there. I apologize.
They missed that at rookie camp.
I didn't prepare for that, but I mean, I'm used to the gators. With gators, I can fight now. I prepare myself. After 3 years living in Florida, I think I'm ready to deal with them. Bears,
good to know.
Bears, not so much. Not so much.
We had
So,
a coyote
Tano-
in our backyard
Oh
too.
yeah, we were on
Yeah.
Coyote Watch during our last podcast. But
Yeah.
talking about some of those things right here. What are a thing or two? Maybe let's start with food, and then just something else that you love about living in America, and then also you miss like crazy from home in Argentina.
Right. Yeah. So for me, what I love about here is going to the fresh markets and places like that where I can find really good quality foods. I think in Argentina, it's getting better, but still, when you go to the grocery stores, you don't find as much as you find here in the States, which for me is great. I love cooking, so I try and go out as less as possible, unless it's something that I never cook, which is sushi usually, or a nice steak of a nice really thick steak. I like going to a really good place where you can have one.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's the thing that I miss a lot in my home country. We eat a lot of barbecues, we grill. And although here I grill, but it's different there. It's the whole, for me, when I go home, it's the whole like tradition where on Sundays it's our day where we have the barbecue day at noon. So I wake up, and with my father at around 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, we put some music on, we put the fire. We build the fire with wood usually because it tastes better.
Mm-hmm.
And the process takes around 2 hours when, you put the wood on, and the wood start making the how do you call it? The charcoal. It's not charcoal, but it's, you put it underneath, and then the meat, you start doing it very slowly. There's different cuts that takes less than others, but we put potatoes in the oven, and we do salads, and we have the whole family gets together, and it's like by the end we finish at around 3:30 eating, so it's been like a 3-hour process where from when we start the fire until we finish eating, and we have desserts and everything. So
Now I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like fun.
yeah,
Tano
yeah,
grilled for all of us last week.
We did
Really?
a little bit, yes. We did a little bit. And for me, it's all about that. It's for me sharing that, because in Argentina, because we are very like Latin people, like Italians and Spanish descendants, so we're very like family oriented, like a very big group of people, and our dinners take forever, and we stay after dinner and or lunch, and we talk for hours, and that's the way we do it, and that's why I like to do. I like to cook for a lot of people, like to enjoy the experience of the meal and talking and having fun. That's for me is that's what I miss about Argentina, and try to do it when I'm on tour.
Tremendous.
That sounds like Moose's place on a Sunday.
I was
yeah.
going to say, Tano, we'll have to
Love
bring you up to
Sundays.
Philly, and you can teach Moose how to cook the Argentinian way.
Oh, yeah.
We need some Argentinian cuts, but we can find that in the butcher. No problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could take care of that. Well, listen, we don't want to keep you too long. We know you're preparing. I would just like to hear from you as you're preparing for this tournament. What can you tell us about? I know you probably have gotten out. You've played around, maybe at Pro-Am. What do you see this week for TPC Twin Cities?
I think it's gonna be a low scoring week. I think usually it is in between 15 and 19 under, 20 under.
Yeah.
I think it's been raining today, so I think because I was thinking if it doesn't rain and it's hot as well, and it might get tricky with the firm greens. But if it's today it rained, I think it's stormy out there as they close the practice facility. So I think if it's not very firm, I think it's going to play obviously a little easier because it's going to be easier to stop the ball in the greens, which I think the greens are very tricky part of the course. Where they're very slopey, and they're running away from you sometimes, and the rough around the greens is pretty thick. So I think that's going to be the defense of the golf course. But Tito Green is a great golf course also. I watched it on TV a couple of times. This is my first time playing here.
Okay.
And it's fun. I mean, you have a little bit of everything. I think they have one hole that they're going to put up a couple of days where you can hit into the green. There's a couple of like ritual par 5, a couple long ones. But I think the secret is going to be, the accuracy is going to be important, but also just being in the right part of the greens, because greens are tricky and can be very slopey, and if they're going to be fast. So definitely in the lookout for, being in the right part of the green and having, most of the uphill passes you can get,
That's right. Well, listen, we wish you the best of luck this week and for the rest of the season here and the rest of your career. We appreciate some time, and hopefully we'll get to speak to you again after you hold up a trophy in one of these tournaments and get your first win on the PGA Tour. But awesome having you on, and continued success.
Thank you so much, guys. It's a pleasure for me to be able to enjoy a little bit of time with you. And let's do it in the future. Love to do it. Thank you so much.
Sounds good. All right, let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Great talking to you.
It's been a pleasure. Yeah, thank you so much. And keep growing. It's going good.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thanks, man.
Thank you so much. Take it easy. Bye.
Bye. My dog almost just took out the mic and light. He might be up for adoption soon.
I'm creating a new podcast, and it's just going to be the breaks. I'm just throwing it out there.
You're going to go back and find that coyote soon.
Right?
I told Sean that's coming, and also the rest of the bear comment. I already gave him the timestamp on that.
I like that. Like
America,
they didn't
have
have
to wrestle.
It's like you didn't have that in your PGA Tour rookie packet. Tano's so nice. He's
oh my God, what a nice guy. Jeez.
Yeah.
What a nice guy. All right, here we go. All right, welcome back to Swing It and Ding It. Awesome talking to Tano Goya.
There it
PGA
is.
Tour, there we go. PGA Tour rookie. You just love hearing about the way that, and we have obviously a very unique look with Danielle on the podcast, but just hearing about, people think that it's just overnight and these guys have success, but the grind that goes into this and the mental side of the game, and he touched on it a little bit, like that's an area he focuses on, and you can tell he's got a pretty good head on his shoulders. So you could see him having a long career out there on tour.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
He's an older guy out there on tour compared to a lot of the younger guys. So like he said, like when he first got on the European tour, a little younger, lifestyle was a little different, maybe, partying a little bit more or going out. And now it's like, okay, now he kind of, the maturation process helps a lot, not even with like the course management, but just like you were just saying, Moose, the mental aspect of it. And, talking to him last week, he's worked really hard on that, and you can just see him being freer in his game. It's pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, he made the cut last week, and I took something from his mindset. He just said basically, don't overthink it. When he thinks too much about his swing and things like that, that's when he doesn't play as well. So it's we got to stop thinking. Just go out and play.
Well, there's a great story. I forgot to get into it with him, but there was a tournament where he was waiting to get in if somebody was out, and he was literally, it was like he thought he was out, but he was just on the putting green. It was like 2 minutes before the tournament, he got a call, hey, you're on the tee in 2 minutes. And he basically had to tee off in his trainers, not even his golf shoes, and had to change his shoes mid-round. So talk about just like not worrying about things and getting going.
Talk about coming in hot.
Yeah, and that happens more than you guys think. I mean, it's silly, but even for the Pro-Am, he was first alternate last week. So he was standing around waiting like, okay, this is going, like, am I going to get to play 18 today? Or am I going to be trying to figure out how to practice today? Like, this happens all the time. And especially for guys who are trying to Monday in or who are, because Brandon finished earlier, or higher in the top 25. Tano didn't lock up his card until later. So that's why he was saying he had literally like a week to get out to Napa and to prepare. So a bunch of those guys, fortunately, Tano's played well, but some of the other guys who finished in the bottom of that 25 week after week, they're waiting and hoping to, wait for guys like, that are in the top 10 to hopefully not commit that next week to open up another spot. It's watching that wait list hourly refresh.
Man, unbelievable. So guys, the champion golfer of the year, just as we all picked, of course, was 175-1 Brian Harman. I mean, what an interesting Open Championship. And I know people have different thoughts on it, but and there's a lot being said about him being rooted against, but like, you're over there, you're American, it's the Open Championship. And I think most people were probably rooting against him just because they wanted to see a better tournament and more guys in contention, but he was not going to let that happen, Harry. He was on fire. You talk about his putting stats. He was about 58 for 59 inside 10 feet. He's 36 years old. His last win was in 2017. He goes 13 under for a 6-stroke win with some big guys behind him chasing him.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, Brian Harman was not concerned, nor should he have been, with our drama. I mean, seriously. I mean, but he bogeyed for 2 of the first 5 holes, and you're thinking, "Ooh, maybe he might be teetering here." He put his tee shot into the gorse bush on the left side of the par 5 5th hole, and you're thinking, "Uh-oh." He takes an unplayable, manages to scrape out a bogey, and then steps to the tee on the par 3 6th hole and pipes one to 13 feet 8 inches. That was the tournament. That's where you're like, all right, I'm +2 early on. The weather's bad. Guys are ahead of me. Rory's making birdies. Rory birdied 3 of his first 5 holes, I think, 5 or 6 holes, and everybody got excited. And you're like, somebody's going to make a run at me. And he steps up to that tee, 195-yard shot, and puts it inside 14 feet. Cameron Young put it to 7 feet in his group. So both of those guys bogeyed the 5th and came back and birdied the 6th. And then he birdied 7, and that was all she wrote. I mean, he just didn't look back.
It's interesting, too, because people on Twitter were saying a lefty is going to have trouble in this win today. I even said a guy that stands over there and waggles his club for 25 minutes in driving rain could be an issue. Nothing was an issue for this guy. It didn't bother him. He had 57 gloves hanging on his umbrella, and he just went out there with his laptop putter head cover and just smoked everybody.
I've always referred to it. Looks like a skillet on the end of a fishing pole, that putter, man. But I'll tell you, you said 58 out of 59. Think about that. 10 feet and in. He missed 1 in 59.
On those greens. Right?
Yes.
We're not talking about he doesn't play those week in and week out.
They're slow.
Totally different, totally different animal. And it's interesting, right? He misses the cut at the Masters and the PGA Championship. He was 42nd at the US Open. And now he's going and playing over there. I mean, what he accomplished is pretty impressive.
Now he's going to be on a Ryder Cup team.
Very, very, he has to be, right?
I would want that guy with that mentality and that ability to putt. I think he'd be a great teammate for anybody. You could put him, you could match him with anybody on that squad, and he'd be a great teammate, I think.
The putting, absolutely incredible. I saw a stat from Justin Ray on Twitter. Different ways to get it done. Percentage of strokes gained to come from putting by each of the 4 men's majors in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
John Rahm at the Masters, 12.3%. Brooks at PGA, 22%. Wyndham Clark at the US Open, 42%. Brian Harman, 62.1% strokes gained from putting. That's insane.
Jeez.
I'm with you here. I want him on my Ryder Cup team.
But you know how popular that Odyssey putter got after Ricky Fowler and Wyndham Clark both won. Is anybody going out and buying that Brian Harman putter? I don't even know what it is.
Find
right?
That thing. Yeah,
that's going to be Harry's Christmas present.
It looks like a drone. Honestly, it looks like a drone. It's crazy. It's crazy. But hey, it works. It works for him.
Right here, just put a shaft on this.
Right.
And then, obviously some other very interesting storylines. The T2s, right? You have Straka, who's been playing really, really well. Jason Day, Harry, who you were all over and said he was going to do well. Tom Kim, who you're also over. Also, Tom Kim has a grade 1 tear in his ankle during the tournament and still comes up with a T2. Tremendous.
Yes.
I mean,
The
unbelievable.
guys on his team told him to suck it up.
That's something I would say.
And we just talked about Emiliano Grillo, as Tano said, at T6, along with Rory Sharma, who is a big story, Cam Young, and then Matthew Jordan with the T10. I mean, that was kind of the other really great storyline. His home course, all the members were there, and he just performed really, really well. Birdies on 18 to get into a top 10.
Yeah, top 10, which gets him in next year at Troon, which is really cool for him. But and this Shabankar Sharma. I needed Sharma with Schauffele and Scheffler. I needed that threesome going off on Sunday. That would have been really good for the alliteration.
Say that 3 times faster.
Yeah, I mean, so all the majors are done, right? You have John Rahm, you have Brooks Koepka, you have Wyndham Clark, you have Brian Harman. We are through major season. We are heading to the playoffs. What do you out of those 4? Who do you think had the most impressive performance?
Oh wow!
I mean, just from the stats I read, I would say Brian Harman. I mean, 62.1%, and then the stat you just said, that is incredibly impressive. Brooks, I didn't think Brooks and Rahm weren't a surprise, so I'd say Harman 1, Wyndham 2, and then T3 for Rahm and Brooks.
I like it.
Yeah, I agree
like
with you.
it.
And only 260 days till the Masters.
That's
right.
it. But who's
Yeah.
counting?
Me.
Harry, any other any other big takeaways from the Open Championship? That the weather came in on Sunday, which was cool, but anything else that really stood out to you?
Well, it was cool, but I tell you, I don't like watching golf with rain on the camera lens. I mean, some of those places where you couldn't even really see what was going on.
Yeah.
And it was kind of more of a nuisance kind of a rain rather than one of those, like downpour types of things. I preferred Saturday when the weather was really laid down and those guys were just firing at everything and making birdies, left and right. I really liked Saturdays. I don't know if I'd like to play that golf course with the members. You tee off on 3. Their third hole for the championship is your first hole, and it's got in course out of bounds all down the right side. I'm like, are you serious?
Oh, yeah. What
about those trap hole bunkers too, Harry?
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. I'd have been in 40 of those.
Well,
might have been climbing through a gorse bush too.
Right. Keeping it on broadcast coverage and watching, though, I do have to give some justification to Brad because we saw on his social so many disgruntled comments like, of course you're only showing Rory or you're only showing this or that, but they have to use what's called the world feed. So it's not NBC's production. So they really have no idea. It would be like us 3 up here and all of a sudden, like they have their whole coverage that they're assigned to, but the world feed will just throw somebody up, pardon me, and that's who they have to cover. So they didn't have control over saying like, hey, this is our leader, or here's like an incredible shot. Let's skip to this. It was on the world feed. So a lot of people
and if
think
Rory's in the Open Championship, he's going to be covered, right?
Yeah.
Like,
especially when he birdied
even John Rahm
his first 5 holes.
Right.
Rahm had mentioned it, right?
Sure.
And Homa had mentioned it. Like playing with him over there is impossible. As soon as he hits, everyone's moving, and you have to hit your shot. And
I don't think it was showing.
Yeah, he did. T10.
His best finish
his best finish in a major.
Yep. Yeah.
Along with Fleetwood and Matthew Jordan.
Yeah, I don't think it was anything about Brian Harman. It was just that it wasn't Rory McIlroy or Tommy Fleetwood.
Yeah.
Those fans wanted to see one of those 2 guys in the mix at the end. And my guy Fleetwood just S the bed.
I wanted Fleetwood too. I had him on DraftKings.
I wanted a new driver.
I started Thursday and Friday out hot. I'm like, all right, I'm third in my DraftKings. Let's go. And then the weekend,
Stu King and Coop get the win in the DraftKings contest. Good for those guys.
Stu Levick is the carpet king.
Okay.
He's a member at the 1912 club, and he does really well in the.
He lives on the top of that leaderboard. He
does
literally,
but he's no good at the one and done. He's down near me in the one and done pool. But weekly fantasy,
you could say us.
Oh gosh, okay.
I'm down there keeping company too.
Oh man,
but a tremendous Open Championship, a great major season, a lot of shakeup in the Ryder Cup standings because of these majors with the Wyndham Clark, with the Brian Harman, with
Sepp
the live guys, Sepp Straka, right? Yeah. So interesting to see how this gets done. And then also we have I'm sorry. Go ahead, Harry. You have another.
And then we still have like JT his week. He missed the cut and heads home early. Sort of mumbling to himself. I'm sure on the jet flight home, he shot 82 on Friday. And just, I think he put up, he got some bad luck too, ending up in those pot bunkers where he had to go out sideways. Did you see that it was Thursday, where he went to 18 and he put it in the middle pot bunker right up against the edge. So was Rory. Rory got his out and actually made a par, I believe, on the hole miraculously. But JT, I think, put up like an 8 or a 9 on that hole that day. And, that was just brutal.
I kind of like, let me phrase this correctly. I was going to say, I like that he's not playing well right now, but that's not exactly what I mean. I like that how transparent and vulnerable JT's been with, look, it sucks. I'm not trying to play well. We heard Tano say it earlier. Like you can play really well one day and you're like, let's go. And then the next day you're like, what is happening? And like you were just saying, Harry, his luck, when you're not playing well, it seems like, okay, the golf gods are against me. Of course, my ball's rolling into, the drain coverage. Of course, my ball is in the bunker. I got that break. I took that bounce. So I think it's good. I mean, a lot of the guys are talking like JT is such a great player. He's just not playing good golf right now.
Right.
And he put on his story earlier earlier that in, what was it, 2009, he got a sponsor's exemption into the Wyndham. Look at him, such a little kid right there. And then he'll be playing in that next week. But it just goes to show, talking to Tano earlier, all the stories of all the guys we have on here, their journey and how it is. I mean, it's a roller coaster. Us sitting on the couch or, watching from home, it's such a different story. You guys will even text me and be like, what happened on this hole? And I'm like, you see a shot tracer, it's not even close. You're like, actually, it took the worst possible bounce. It got the worst break. This happened. But you just see, a 4 or 5 on the card, and it's like, what's going on? But I think, for such a high caliber player such as JT to be struggling a little bit, it makes the rest of us realize that it's kind of a grind out there.
Well, yeah, we've seen this with Jordan Spieth and Ricky Fowler. They were
going to say that
for
a while.
And they came back, and I'd expect the same from JT. I don't know if it's going to happen this week. I mean, he's playing this week and next week because he's got to get inside the top 70.
Oh yeah.
And right now, I think he's 75th in the FedEx Cup. So one good week gets him in. But
playing
it's
with
pressure,
be a
decision though.
It.
Think about the decision, for the Ryder Cup captain. Like, if he's not going to qualify, so do you put him in as a captain's pick over a guy like Brian Harman or some of these other younger guys that are playing really well?
It's going to be controversial either way. Yeah. We will wait and see.
We love it.
And we talk about the FedEx Cup points, and that leads us to our the alternate event, and the often mispronounced Akshay Bhatia, of course.
Woo, you did it.
Everyone knows how to say that. 21-year-old gets his first PGA Tour win. We talked about Bears. We talked about Coyotes in Tahoe, but there was a 21-year-old who got his first PGA Tour win over Patrick Rodgers in a playoff. And guys, once again, the fairway divot debate fires up because that's exactly what happened to Patrick Rodgers, and he flubbed his shot coming out of it. And where do you guys stand on that? Danielle, start with you.
I mean, I think if your ball falls into a divot and you, especially in a playoff position, but we have to keep it, I'm losing the word.
Consistent.
We have to keep consistent across the board. You can't just say in a playoff. But no, I think there should be relief. If your ball falls into that, then you should be able to get a drop to the side. I mean, if it falls into a drain coverage or a sprinkler head or something else, you get to take a drop. Like, why not?
Yeah, I agree. If you find the fairway, and you're in a divot, especially if it's not a divot where they actually tried to fix the divot, and which happens, on our golf courses where we play. We're not on the PGA Tour with officials walking around and caddies who can do that kind of stuff. So you'll ball go into a divot, and you're like, man, I hit the fairway. Now I got to play with this. Like Paul Casey got screwed in the Players Championship 2 years ago, I think it was, where he hit it into a ball mark. Really wasn't a divot. It was where the ball went into a soft fairway and knocked the grass up, and his ball was stuck in there. He had to play his shot from there. I mean, that's too much.
And like you said, Harry, you placed it right in the fairway.
Yeah.
And then
you did what you're supposed to do.
You did what you're supposed to do. And just because somebody else either didn't fix the divot or, whatever happened, you have to take,
I think the only reason why there hasn't been any action is just because of how it's discretionary. Like, is it an inch little divot, right? Is it a giant? Like, how do you define where your ball's lying? And if you're having at that point, you just have to go lift clean in place, right? Because I think there would be tons of, it would slow the game down. Probably, hey, this is lying here. It's kind of not in a divot, right? I think it would just, it's so hard to define that. And I think that's why there's never been any action on it.
And some of these guys will call rules officials over for anything.
Yeah.
But I'm standing in a divot.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Right. My stance is unstable now.
Right.
But we opened up with this tournament talking about the FedEx Cup points, and it's interesting because this is an alternative event. Akshay Bhatia does not get any FedEx Cup points, and
he got 300. You get 300.
300.
Yeah,
so he's sitting
500.
He's sitting at 92. He would have been at 52 if it was a full points. So, but he gets his membership through 2024. He's in the Century, Charles Schwab Players, and PGA Championship. So it's a huge win either way. But it is what it is. It was an alternative event. So that's what happens.
Nice moment with the girlfriend.
Yeah. Who was not on the bag, right? She was on the bag.
Not on the bag. I'll tell you, Akshay, it's good he has that hairstyle, because you turn him sideways, you don't see him. He is a skinny dude, man. But
he really is. He really is. So, Harry, I know you're you're going to play some golf in a different location, I think, over the next couple of days. I had an incredible lesson with John DeMarco from the Legacy Club. I've seen Steve Saraki over there. We're so lucky to have two guys like that and other guys that work there too. I don't want to discount any of them that just do an incredible job, but I have to get myself together, Harry, because I have a pretty good stretch coming up. I have Bethpage Black with Greeny in a couple weeks. I have Due Process again coming up with my buddy Andrew Girardi. I'm playing with our friend John Clark in the Ed Snyder Youth Hockey Foundation over at St. David's on
nice.
the 7th.
That's right by my house.
How's that course?
Yeah, that's nice. I've never played it, but I've been by it many times. It's right a mile from my house.
And then later in August, I have my favorite rounds of the year up in Lake George, where Greeny makes his annual appearance on the podcast, playing when we play the Sagamore and Ticonderoga. So how about you? How are you playing some golf up there?
Well, I'm not playing Bethpage Black, but I'm playing Shenecosset, which is a Donald Ross course. It's a municipal course right here in Groton, Connecticut, where I am. And actually the 16th and 17th hole you can see from my sister's house. It's a really nice old school design, and they keep it in really good shape. And every time we come up here, make sure we get at least 1 or 2 rounds in.
Nice. I just noticed, Harry, you don't have the golf course background.
No, because I don't have my green screen with me. I don't travel with the green screen.
I love it. Guys, you know that winners never cheat, cheaters never win, right? And there was a story this week that, of course, Ryan French, Monday Q Info, who covers all of this stuff incredibly well, had this story first, and then you have Justin Doden, who basically just erased the 7 and put a 5, and how that sticks with you forever, right? They talk about Vijay Singh. It happened a million years ago, not even on the PGA Tour.
Patrick Reed.
Yeah, there's so much at stake here, and I could see why someone would do it, but the game of golf is built on trust and honesty. Integrity. And just to see something like this, he owned it, but he owned it after he was caught, of course. Right. Just a crazy story, honestly.
So if anyone doesn't know the full story, he literally, his playing partner had signed his scorecard, and then he changed
hey, let me see that
to make the cut because his number was on the cut, changed it to get into the cut. And then they saw that he was playing in the field, and they were like, wait, what? Whoa. He didn't make the cut.
Yeah. PGA Tour Canada up in Ottawa.
Yeah. Wow. And then the tweet was like, I'm sorry. Yeah. I embarrassed my family. Like, I messed up. But like you said, like, you're apologizing after the fact. Like, yeah.
Wow. So he erased a 7, put a 5 in order to make the cut.
Yeah.
After his teammate had signed the card.
And he was like, hey, let me see that card. And that happens a lot. Hey, let me see the card. Let me compare, make sure we're good. And then he erased it and threw a Finsky in there to get
it's like a double cheat.
And I think that the playing partners were like, they realized it right away. They're like, just a wild story. It happens every now and then. And I think the more it's talked about, hopefully the less it will happen, because you can't get away with anything these days, right? Everything's on camera. Like, you can't get away with that.
Even in
why
PGA
would you want
Tour
to?
Canada.
Yeah, exactly.
And then now every time, like, if you draw him, like if he's in your group upcoming, you're going to want to be like, oh, what is it? He goes to the wood. Card, Holmes. Oh, did you really find your ball? Like,
right.
Was your ball actually in the divot?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's why we can't have the divot rule. See, we can't have these things. It's because of cheaters. Harry, people who don't cheat and people who do an incredible job and save people money and sell Chevys for less, as our friend Joe Perry says over there, and Dante, of course, our friends Mall Chevy, and we like to talk about them on a weekly basis because they're great to us.
Absolutely. And they've been doing it for 8 years in a row now. Mall Chevrolet, they've been South Jersey's #1 Chevy dealer. Now, we all know it could be because they treat their customers just right. That's why Mall Chevy was voted a top 100 dealer in the country for customer satisfaction. But I don't know, Moose, I still think it's because of that motto. We sell Chevys for less. It's that simple. Find your perfect drive at Mall Chevrolet. Visit Mall Chevrolet on Haddonfield Road, right in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, across from the Cherry Hill Mall, or online at mallchevy.com. Find your perfect drive at Mall Chevrolet.
Tremendous. And now we take a look ahead at the 3M Open in Minneapolis, TPC Twin Cities. Tony Finau defending. Previous winners here, Cam Champ, Matthew Wolff, Tony Finau. It's wide open, right? So you feel like this is a bomber's course. 3 of the 4 were 100 to 1. So I would take a look at some value, even though some of the top of the board guys look great. But looking forward to this tournament. There's a lot at stake when you get this. We talked about the FedEx Cup points, right? Guys that are on the bubble, guys are going to have to make a run at it. But this should be an interesting one. There's some good guys in the field.
Yeah, there's 11 of the top 50 in this field, and we mentioned JT. He's here for one reason alone, to get as many points as he can to jump inside the top 70. He doesn't want to miss the playoffs. So there's a lot at stake here, and I think it's a pretty good field, better field than I can remember this being in the last couple of years. It's a par 71, 7,400 plus yards, Arnold Palmer design for this TPC Twin Cities. And this looks like, Danielle, you can attest to this. This looks like you took a golf course out of West Palm Beach and put it in Minnesota. It looks like a Florida golf course. There's 27 water hazards on 15 of the holes. Moose and Danielle, that's a lot of water. Arnold Palmer likes a lot of water. His designs. Par 4 scoring is going to be at a premium. And bogey avoidance, obviously, because you're going to make a lot of birdies. You got to avoid the bogeys, tough par 3s, and really tough par 5s on this golf course. Some of the toughest par 5s that they'll face all season on the PGA Tour. And there's a hole here. Tom Lehman, of course, Minnesota's own Tom Lehman, British Open champion of the past, did some consulting on this golf course and changed some things on the 7th hole, and they now call it Tom's Thumb. It's a 381-yard par 4 that can be reached with a long, accurate tee shot. But some guys will take it conservative, and then going to have an approach of inside 100 yards. So watch out for the 7th hole. Should be some action there. But I'm looking forward to this one. Bring
Tremendous.
A lot of balls.
We call this new segment, for now until we rename it, The Course, of course, with Harry Mays, because nobody breaks down the golf course quite like Harry does week in and week out. And I think so often the golf course is the biggest storyline, or one of the biggest storylines.
Yeah.
So to get a little more info and help the guys who are getting ready to place their bets on DraftKings, we're going to provide that service to you now on a weekly basis.
Beautiful. Total driving, big stat, driving accuracy, guys who can hit it long and keep it in a fairway, avoid the water hazards. It's going to be a big deal. And of course, strokes gained approach, as it is every week.
Yeah.
Big greens.
You hearing that same kind of sentiment, Danielle, from the players with a course like this, where guys can kind of let it rip out there?
I mean, kind of, depending on which player you're talking to and what their approach is and how they need to play heading into playoffs. So I think it's a little bit more pressure, like you guys already mentioned, these next 2 tournaments, and trying to sneak into playoffs if you can, or maintain your card, or, just continually get more points. So I think that's more of the strategy in learning to adapt to the course, as Tano was saying, this week and next week as much as others.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And we will now see the line with our friends from DraftKings. And from tee to green, the best place to go to get in on all the action happening on the links is DraftKings Sportsbook. This week, new customers will receive an odds boost to add plus 1,000 to any pre-tournament wager up to $10 on any golfer to win. DraftKings will be featuring parlays and odds boosts all tournament long, so be sure to check the DraftKings Sportsbook app every day before the tournament starts to see what they have in store. This is an interesting one because you have value right off the bat, right? There's none of those plus 450, plus 350, plus 750 guys. It starts with Cam Young and Hideki at plus 1,600. So, but as we mentioned, the longer odds guys have won this. So take a look at a little bit further down the board. A couple guys I'm keeping my eye on: Cam Davis, and Cam Young, even though he's at the top of the board, but we'll get into it a little bit deeper. But make sure you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code DING, D-I-N-G, and boost your odds during this weekend's tournament. That's code DING, only on DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelplinema.org. In New York, call 877-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Kansas, call 1-800-522-4700 on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Harry Mays, let's continue to see the line. What do you like in this one?
Yeah, kind of hot on my matchups. I won 3 of 4 last week, including Brian Harman over Keegan Bradley. But I don't see any matchups that stood out to me this week. So I'm just going to go with.
I have 2. I'll help you.
Oh, you do? Okay,
Yeah.
All right. We'll get to those. But Sepp Straka stands out to me. I mean, this guy right now is one of the hottest players on the tour. He's got a win and a runner-up in his last 2 starts. He's plus 2,200. I think that's pretty good value for a guy who's coming in here, hitting the ball the way he is. And he won the Honda last year. To me, this is the Honda golf. There are a lot of similarities to that golf course, coming up here to Minnesota. I don't think water is going to, play into his fear at all. And he was 5th this year at the Honda. So I'm looking at a little course correlation here, and going to take Sepp Straka plus 2,200 win it. Lucas Glover is off 3 straight top 6s. Just don't watch him try to hit a 4-foot putt that matters. But he was 7th in the 3M back in 2019. I'm going to take him in a top 10 plus 450 for Lucas, hitting the ball great. JT Poston is another guy, was 41st last week, 6th at the Scottish Open and 6th at the John Deere a couple of weeks ago. He finished 11th here last year. I'll take him plus 210 in a top 20. And our buddy Eric Cole, top 30 at plus money, plus 130 for Eric Cole.
Oh yeah. I like a lot of those plays, Harry. I could see Cam Young getting his first win here. I don't know if I want to take him as the top of the leaderboard guy at plus 1,600. I do like Poston, and I don't hate that number at 4,500. Hideki also, Hideki and Sanjay are very popular this week. Also, Gary Woodland's getting a lot of love this week. But for me, there's a couple other guys. We talked about Emiliano Grillo. 2 top 5s here. That's who I'm taking in my one and done, actually.
Nice.
And also Adam Hadwin, who has a T6 and a T4 at this tournament. So I think those guys could rise to the top. I like Eric Cole, pretty big number, even if you take him to win. But the 2 matchups, I'm taking Cam Davis plus 120 over Aaron Rye, and Eric Cole plus 105 over JJ Spawn. 2 plus money matchups that I feel like could make some moves. And I'm taking Brandon Matthews in a top 20 at plus 2,000. Let's get it going.
There you go. Let's go.
Danielle, no fantasy contest this week, but anyone jumping out at you to get the W?
Honestly, I got home. I took a ridiculous flight from Reno to Dallas, had an hour layover that, in similar Wes Patterson fashion, got delayed 2 hours. So I traveled for about 10 hours on Sunday, add in the time change, and then getting back into the office. I haven't even thought about who's standing out to me this week. Brandon's birthday is tomorrow. So I'll let him know that the team's rooting for him this week for his birthday and for a top 20, you said, or top 10?
Always. Yeah, top 20.
Top 20.
Yeah.
Team B, baby.
Always.
Yeah.
Always rooting for him. Well, thank you guys. It was a lot of fun. Next week, we're finally getting to talk to Ben Dewan from Cobbs Creek. Dying to know directly from Ben what is happening over there, what's the timeline, how things are progressing. Biggest story probably in Philadelphia golf, that kind of ebbs and flows with the economy and everything else going on. But when Tiger Woods Foundation gets involved, it makes it even a bigger story. So looking forward to talk to Ben next week.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
And for everybody listening, if you have interest in being a guest on our show, have your agent contact us and we'll put you on our long list of incredible players, agents, and other talent within the golf community and try to get you on.
That's right.
Awesome.
And do us a favor. If you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe, all the good stuff, follow, all that stuff. It helps us out. So we appreciate the support, and we'll